Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Down Low. With me is Joel Lowe. I'm Mike Durezzo. We're starting off with the second episode in this series about finding a new job. This one is really kind of like now we're looking for the job. So
Yeah.
kind of recap, Joel, do you want to roll through some of these recaps with me?
Yeah, sure. So, know what you're looking for and why, right? Know why
Right.
you're leaving your company. Know what in the new company you want, right? I hope that money is just not the end all be all. Don't get me wrong; it's important, especially with inflation.
Yeah.
But understand what you want to go into, what kind of structure you're looking for, and then make sure that when you're looking at companies, you can find that, right? And the next one
Right.
is make sure that you're looking in the right places, right?
Right.
You're looking for a well put together kind of representative for you. Make sure that your resume is tight. Make sure that you've had somebody look over it, right? That your cover letter is tight as well. That you have all the errors out of it. One of the things I think we both can agree with is
Yeah.
spelling errors, right?
Grammar.
Which grammar is something special, right? So you're like, God, come on now, you could. And nothing wrong with all. Nobody's perfect, but it's little things that will throw somebody off, right? You don't
Yeah.
know who that one person is who can't stand bad grammar, right? Or
Right.
mistakes because every time one of their employees send them something, they have to then fix it before they send it out, right?
Right.
So make sure that you're doing that. And you had a few other ones that you wanted to jump on.
Yeah, so obviously network around. So as before you put it out there and you put the open to work banner on your LinkedIn profile, network around. Ask people that both that you can reach out to on a phone call or things like that. If you're really committed to finding a job, reach out to the people that you trust in your network and things like that and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a new role." And we talked about it. Sometimes the best job for you and the best roles, they're not on a job board because they are their
Right.
infancy of their search. Maybe they haven't reached out to a headhunter or a placement firm yet, and they haven't put it out on LinkedIn or Indeed or Monster. And they're just like, yeah, we definitely need this. And oh, what's funny is I was just talking to my friend the other day, and he
Mm-hmm.
was looking for a job. That's great. Or they hear a conversation, they'll pass the one on. You know what? I have a candidate, and I do that. I people call me. I try and stay in touch, and this is one of those things that harkens back to one of our early episodes. Stay in touch with your network, right? And I know it's not
Mm-hmm.
possible to stay in touch with everybody once you get a large network established and
Yeah.
everything, but at least make it an opportunity to once a month reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a while, right? Once a month.
Yep. Yep.
It's not that hard of a commitment. Not saying lunch, just a phone call, whatever
Yeah.
works for you and your time. But definitely, and this is one of those things because sometimes the best role also will come up when you're not looking, right? So you may
Right.
not even be looking for a job, and somebody may come to you and say, you know, we were talking and so at this other organization, and you sound like you actually might be a good fit for this. Are you interested?
Right.
I wasn't looking for a job. And Joel said it. The best time to look for a job is when you don't need a new job, right? You have a
Right.
job,
Right.
you're content, right? And that's, no one ever wants to be completely fully happy, but you're content,
Yeah.
but maybe there's something in the back of your mind that there's no upward movement, there's no position to move into. Maybe something's bothering you. Maybe you just finished a large project, it's time to move on, whatever. Just keep your options open and everything else, and be
Yep.
ready. So that's a thanks, Joe. So looking for jobs. um so make sure you look for the right company. We touched a little bit on this briefly. What kind of culture are you looking for? Where do you thrive as a
Mm-hmm.
human being, as an individual?
Mm-hmm.
um but I think it's also important, as once you define what you're looking for in a company, what do other people say about companies that you're looking at, right? So
Yeah.
keep some of those things in mind. See what that company says about itself on LinkedIn, right? So, what kind of messages are they posting? Do they support veterans? Do they support, diversity and culture and things like that? If that's important to you, should be important to you. But if that's, something that drives you, if you don't see anything on it, that's not a red flag, so to speak. It just means maybe they don't have a marketing organization. But if they have like 10,000 people or more that work for that organization, they probably should be posting something. Um,
And
and
you should
then there's
believe what you read. Believe what you read. right? So
Yeah.
I've literally was getting recruited for a job, and I read all the stuff. I knew the reputation of the company, and I was like, I can make the difference. That's just for them because they don't work as hard as I do. It would never happen to me. And you got to
Right.
understand, some companies are machines, right? They will
Yeah.
chew you up and spit you out, right?
Yeah.
And that's their model, right? They understand that they turn a lot of people or churn a lot of people, and they're okay with that. And the people who come out to watch that survive are like few and far between, right? It takes a
Right.
special kind of person. So believe what you read, right? When you're looking
Right.
at that, don't say, well, this can't be true. No,
No.
it can't be. Somebody took the
Yeah.
time to write it, and if it's a whole bunch of people that wrote it, there's a reason behind that, right?
Yeah.
So
What's the saying? If one person calls you a horse's and, that's one person's opinion. But if everybody calls you a horse's rear, then you might want to turn around and see if there's a saddle on you.
right,
But yeah, you're
exactly.
absolutely right. One person, sure, that might be an angry employee and things like that. But if you see something similar and you keep seeing certain things about it, just take note of that, right? To Joel's point, know what you're going into, right? With eyes
Yep,
wide open.
yep,
Um, that's going to impact you, right? That if you see that all these negative items on there, know that that job has a time limit, like before you should pull the pin and get out. Um,
right, right,
all right. Well, speaking of that, let's talk about looking for jobs outside of your network, right?
right.
Where do
So,
you like
so
when you're
link.
looking? Where do you like looking?
So I usually go to LinkedIn or Indeed, right?
Hmm.
Monster dates myself, right? If you still doing Monster, I don't know if that's still out there or whatnot, but there's a lot of different search engines or things
Yeah,
that you can go to in the professional world to
yeah,
look for jobs. I use Indeed and LinkedIn, right?
yeah.
Um,
What's the other one? Dice is a good one
Dice,
for technology
yeah,
people.
Dice is
Um,
another one.
Snag. I think Snag a Job it was Snag a Job. I think it's just Snag now. I believe they're still around. They're here in Richmond. And then the ladders. So if you're a little bit further on in your career and you're looking for management roles or above, the ladders, and there are a couple of websites that specialize in salaries that are $100,000 and higher. Um, they're a pay for site, so you do need to pay for it. And I think it's
Hmm.
something like $29 a month or
Right,
$29 every 3 months or something like that. Again, the best time to look for a job is when you have a job, right? Because then you have income coming in that you're spending on to
right,
do this. So,
right,
you know, keep that in mind. But you brought up a good point in the green room is directly on the company website. So once you find a
right.
company that you like, look on their
Yeah.
website.
So I mean, you through your networking, going to different events, you hear about companies that you're like, oh, that's nice, right? Like, hey man, I don't have any like we have unlimited PTO. Wow. Okay. Hey man, it's so cool. On Fridays we do. Like you've heard about these certain companies that have like a great work culture that you really was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind working there. Well, go directly to their website, right?
Yeah.
See what jobs they have available. They also have it where if they don't have anything available, you can put your information in and they'll contact you when they have things that pop up.
Yeah.
Set those up, right?
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to wait for them to post a job, as Mike stated before. You may be able to get in on the ground floor before they even, hey, you know what, we were looking, we were just about to post them. We just got it approved, and then you
Right.
popped in. Hey, let me
Right.
talk to you for a second.
Yeah.
Which is always a good time to talk with somebody before they have anybody or any thought in mind. You can go ahead and give them a
Yeah.
overview of what you do and how you'd be perfect for the company. Um, the other thing that we talked about was tailoring your resume to the job opening,
Yeah.
right? So read through every job rec for the most part will tell you what they're looking for, right? It'll tell you if they're focused on a certain kind of technology or if they're focused on a certain process within, the security space, they're going to let you know. So if response is their big thing, then it's going to talk about, response 4 or 5 different ways of, why that's important to them or
Right.
why this other tool is important to them. If it talks about a specific tool, right? If it says, hey, we are a Palo Alto shop, right? You need to go through your resume and point out where you have experience in Palo Alto, right? Where you have done this certain type of firewall, and you can manage this, or you have experience in that. So when they see it, they read through and they understand your representative has told them like, hey, he's experienced in the tool that we're looking for, right?
Right.
So make sure you adjust your resume, right? Make sure
Yeah.
that it speaks for you in that role, right?
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
and to your point, it's the applicant tracking system. The bane of the
right,
21st century to some people is the ATS. There and I do want to mention something at the end of this. They're looking for word count. They're looking for phrases. They're looking for things that pattern match what they're looking for versus the resumes that come in. Because nowadays, you'll see it on LinkedIn. Position posted 4 days ago. There's already over 200 applicants, and you're like, I've seen it where the position was posted 4 hours ago, and there's 88 applicants, and I'm like,
Yes.
dang, that's
How?
crazy.
Yeah.
No human being can sift through. If you figure, especially for like a senior role, if it's a senior role or something like that, everybody has a 2 to 3 page resume. No human being is going to go through 2 to 3 pages. They've got to sort through that. Now, that's partly why it's important to have a network connection at that company or organization. It's very, very important. But also do yourself a favor. And I've seen this a lot in discussion points on there. Whatever you do, don't copy and paste the job role into your resume. Don't copy line for line. I've heard tricks where people copy it, turn it into white text and post it in the background or embed it so the ATS reads it. Don't do that.
Because I've heard that as well.
There are ATS systems now that are like, if it's too good to be true, something's wrong, and they'll pull it.
Right.
They'll yank it. So just don't do that. I know early days that may have worked and that may have bumped you to the front of the line, but people have gotten smarter so that they've said it's 100% pull it, because that doesn't make sense. So, if you want to be good, you don't want to be the greatest thing that ever walked in that door, because it's not believable. And then you mentioned something like, and what carries on for tailor your resume, if they're looking for specific experience, like the Palo Alto network firewall or Prisma experience or Cisco experience, or, experience with this gamma radiation knife, or, so on and so forth, or nursing, whatever specific skill set or experience they're looking for, have a story about it. Right. So if they keep mentioning it in the rec and the job request or the job board, make sure that you can talk to your experience with that. I think you mentioned that in there. You're like, hey, we implemented this tool here. We used it here. I had a team of 4 people that managed this. We supported it. We installed it. We have a good story about it. Ready.
How we tested it, how we funded it, where we were with budget, what was the tracking of it, like how did you communicate to executives on the status of it, like all those things people want to know about, right? So make sure that you have a quick story on that. Make sure you have stories on various different things, right? How'd you fail, right? Tell me something that you bought into and you really was all about it, and then you failed, right? It didn't do what you need to do, and how'd you go through that process? Have that question, have that answer ready for them, because people want to know, right? I can tell you a story about how well I did, right? But can you tell me about how you didn't do well on something, and be able to spin it in such a way that you learned from it, that it was a positive, right? How you communicated and how you made sure this didn't happen again. Also make sure that when you're interviewing, right, or you're getting ready for interviews, you question them. Flip it back on them, right? They ask you a question about how you felt, then tell me, hey, name a situation where I kind of went through and y'all had a situation where it didn't work out the way you did it. And how, as a whole team, were y'all able to navigate? Did you have executive, leadership backing, right? Did they buy into it? That lets me know certain things, right? One, it lets me know how they go through a process when something doesn't go well, right? It lets me know if they have a change management, are they able to revert back? It also lets me know that if their executive team is really bought into cybersecurity or whatever it is that we're doing, and are lockstep hand in hand. And when when we failed, they still understood the process, or did they lock up everything and say, you know what, can't give you any more money, you're done for this year. Like we had to get rid of some people. Like, let me know, because those are red flags for me, right? So interview them, because you need to interview them as much as they interview you, right? Yeah. They should get off the interview with you and be like, man, I feel like I just went through an interview. Right. That's what they should feel like.
Yeah. Like, wow. No, you should. You absolutely should. You should understand what you're getting into, right? This is an investment. These are people you're going to spend a majority of your time in life with for the next several years, or however long you stay with that company and job. And, like I tell people, this may not be your last job, but it may be your last company. You may stay at this company forever. What does that look like? be prepared to stay at that company for a while. Be prepared to invest yourself in that company, and vice versa. What are they doing to invest in you as an employee, as an individual? And I like that. I like that ability. And when people ask me questions, one, it shows me that they're serious and they're intent on working, and that they're looking and they want to find a home. If you don't ask questions, I kind of think, okay, well, they didn't like us, right? Or they're just not on their game, and keep in mind, some people just have bad days. Like I had an interview almost a year ago for a very technical position, and the person was very uncomfortable. And this person had some stuttering, and you could tell that they just weren't comfortable. And I said, hey, look, take a moment, relax, take a deep breath, right? We're being interviewed as much as you are, right? So it's okay. And this person didn't have a job, so they were really like, I really want this job and everything else. And super smart person. It's just like, just take a moment, relax. It's okay. It's okay. But stay ready. I think going back to staying ready, interview questions. Take a look online. There's some good examples out there. I'll try and post some on the end of this reel, where you can find common interview questions and just be prepared to respond to those.
And give a recap. Right. Yeah. So if I ask the question back, well, how did y'all handle this? And once they get done with their example or they explain it, say, so I understand correctly, is that y'all kind of go through this process here, and the executive team is really bought into, the vision of what's going on. And with our 3-year plan, we're doing this here. And they'll tell you like, yep, that's 100% correct. Okay, cool. And then here's the key, people. Take notes, right?
Take notes,
right? Write something down, right? I don't care if it's, hey, I really like this job and I can't wait to get it, or take notes,
Need to pick up coffee on the way home.
Right.
whatever it is, take notes. Yeah.
Right.
And, just be prepared with your background, right? If it's a video, stay ready, be prepared. Obviously, we're living and breathing human beings. I'm not the cleanest individual in the world. So, I just make sure that you keep the area behind you tidy, because it says a lot about you. I'm going to be honest. I've definitely checked out the background of people. So if you want to blur it. But I've definitely been like, what is that on the shelf behind that guy's head? I'm actually, at the end of the interview, I was like, I got to ask, what is that? Oh, it's a Gundam. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay. You got to ask. I can't help it. The whole time I've been looking, I'm like, what book is that? Right? Like, I just want to, like, there's been many times we have books around. I'm like, what book is that? Right? And they'll tell me, and I'm like, oh, did you read it? What was it about? And the worst thing ever is to have a book in your viewpoint and you haven't read it. Right? Like, because to me, what you're saying is, hey, like, usually your background is like, it's like me saying, hey, Mike, you play guitar? And you're like, no, not at all.
I just collect them, and they
so
collect
you got a whole bunch of guitars, and you never played any? No, not at all. I just like the way they look.
No, got a keyboard too. Don't play that either.
Yeah, you in your mind now. I'm not even thinking about the interview anymore. Now I'm just like, what is that about? Right? Like, what does that mean? Right? Like,
there's a lot to unpack in that, right?
Right. So now you throw me completely off. I can't even fathom like working with you, because I'm like, yo, what else does he just collect and do nothing with? Right? Like
guitars. Where?
Is that what those are? I thought those were drums. Right?
I thought those were drums. The guy at the store sold me. Yeah.
He got me.
He got me.
So look, let's do takeaways real quick.
Takeaways.
Right? So always good to make sure that you tell your resumes to the position that you're looking for, right? I also believe in having a cover letter as well, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if they ask for it, give it to them, right?
Yeah.
So they wouldn't ask for it if they didn't want it, right? So I also give them access to, or the link to, my LinkedIn, right? So you have some companies that will ask for like your LinkedIn or your Facebook or whatnot. My Facebook is not for public consumption, right?
Yeah.
It is family, friends. So I don't give that out, right? But my LinkedIn is for everybody, right? It's my work product, and I use it as such, right? So I'm not just posting anything on there. I'm posting things that if a job was looking at it, I can stand behind everything that I posted, right? You can get a complete picture of me from my LinkedIn, right? And I always say at the end of my interview, I'm like, if you want to know Joel a little bit better, go to my LinkedIn. It's got everything you want in it. It's got examples, videos. It's me in a nutshell, right? Which is good for anybody hiring that's serious about you. They can go look at it, and I've had many people do, and they know what the product they're getting. You don't always get that, right? And I always want that. I want you to want me as much as I want you, right? But know what you're getting in bed with, right? So I'm definitely that. What's another one after tailoring your resume?
Yeah, I mean, stay ready. Keep up to date on your knowledge of the company. Be prepared for questions. That's a big one. You're going to get questions. Dress appropriately. Even if you think it's only on the phone. I heard once that smile when you're talking, even if it's only on the phone, because people can hear that you're smiling, right? That you're good intentions, right? Just practice it when hey, hi, this is Mike. Just practice it and just be prepared. Good energy. Make good contact, good energy, good first impressions. When you meet somebody, repeat their name. Oh, Mike. Oh, okay. Hey, good to meet you. That kind of thing. And just good energy when you go into these things. And then finally,
I take notes. Yeah. So like what I do is in my notes, when we do the introduction, I would put Mike has the white shirt, right? John has the blue shirt. Right. So that when I'm doing my question, I can say, well, Mike, and then I'm looking directly at Mike. Mike, as you stated before, versus saying as it was stated before. No. I want it to be personal. Mike, as we talked before about your example of X, Y, and Z, I agree with you. But John stated this over here, and John, understand how that's a coincidence or how that happens. But in my world, I think it's more like this, right? Make it more personable, right? So take notes from that standpoint of who you're talking to. And when they give their background, circle certain things that are important to you. Hey, I've been doing this for 15 years. I was in the banking world before then. And if you have that experience, say, hey, I understand that. When you're giving your example, say, I understand what, John, you're talking about because I came from the banking world. I came from the government. I came from this space here as you did. And just as I know that it's kind of difficult, right? And this is why. So boom, boom, boom. And this is how I kind of tailor. Like bring them in because you know what they start doing is this here. This is what you want to see. You want to see this.
Connections.
The connection, right?
You want to make connections.
You want their head to nod and be like, yeah, you're right. Right? You should have fun on an interview. I have fun.
Yeah.
Right? If we're dry, if we're dry, then I don't want to be there. Right? My thing is even with the introduction in the beginning, right? Just be like I'll sometimes make a joke about like I had so many problems because I had like my budget was endless. Right? Never had any issues with money or with staffing. So, it was a great company. And everybody immediately is like, yeah, nobody's ever had that. Nobody in cybersecurity has ever had that. And nobody believes that. But again, understand that joke and be like, no, I was understaffed on the budget, but we still made it go through. And this is how I kind of worked through it. Right? Yeah. Be able to be personable about who you are and what's going on. I think you said this best, read the room. Right? Read the room. Right. Yeah. Understand what audience you're talking to, understand the position that you're interviewing for. And, depending on the company and the senior level of it, they may not want you to be so jovial, right? They may not be able to take you serious, right? So,
and that's something I struggle with, just being completely transparent. I sometimes fail to read the room, right? And it is what it is. At the end of the day, though, the saying is the best you'll ever see an employee is the day you interview them, right? And so, that's what they're going to have as your impression of you moving forward, right? And it just maybe it just goes downhill from there. Hopefully not. Hopefully you always maintain that standard. But yeah. And then the one thing that especially in this day and age, I think is one of the most important takeaways is sometimes it's just not a good fit, right?
Not a good fit.
It's not you, right? It's not them. It's just not a good fit. Keep your head up and keep moving. There was a time when I was looking for a job. I applied to 100 jobs over the course of 6 months. 100 jobs, right? I got, a dozen, maybe 24 interviews out of that, right? And this is everybody's moving around. There's so much movement in the industry at this point that you're one fish in 1,000 that people are looking at. And you're like, they may not see you, they may not. And that's why it's important to have a connection in that organization or know somebody to navigate that. I have a feeling that in the next 6 months, you're going to need that, right? You're going to need to know somebody in that organization. So if you want to work there, establish relationships now, and don't wait until you see a job to go friend out the recruiter. Don't do that. That's creepy.
No. Yeah. Don't do
But
that.
keep your head up, right? Like keep moving, keep your head up. You just don't be disheartened. It happens to the best of us.
Right. And then my last word, as always, knowing is half the battle, people. Once you know, you can apply. So,
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody. We're going to continue in the next series with the interview and everything else next week. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you're not a subscriber, hit the little bell on the YouTube and leave a comment if you liked what you heard, or if you wanted to hear something different, or you want to delve into something else. Just let Joel and I know. We'll continue that on. But other than that, have a wonderful week, everybody.